Hey, Team BCN. Thank you so much for joining me for today's conversation with Amy Cox, Executive Director in our Cynthiana office. Amy has worked at BCN for 25 years, and as we celebrate BCN's 45th birthday in March and International Women's Day in month, she'll share some of her memories, experiences, and the changes she has witnessed and helped to make. Amy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Heidi. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So, how did you come to work at Bluegrass Care Navigators?
Working at the hospital in 92 and was introduced to this new adventure that was coming to town called hospice. There weren't a lot of different opportunities, or I didn't think so at the time, but this was going to give me a little bit more flexibility in my schedule. And, it was only going to be on call every third day and every third weekend. So, I thought this sounds amazing. So I jumped on board.
You started working here in 1992 as a nurse. And then what was your career path like as you continued your time with Bluegrass Care Navigators?
Well, I spent, of course, the majority of my time as a case manager, and then even walked into the role as professional liaison when that started back in the mid 90s, I guess. Before that, the nurses, you got a referral, you handled your referral yourself. You made time in your day to go to the hospital or the home and start from scratch. So that's one of the ways that we've changed as we've grown over the years. And then I was gone for a few years and came back in 2003, where I continued as case manager. And then we had a care model at one time called shared care, in which we had team leads, and I assumed that role at one time, and then came into this directorship about 2010.
Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
What does your role as executive director look like? What do you do on the day to day?
So a lot of days it is problem solving. A lot of days it is support of the team, just ensuring that they know that good care is going out the door. For me, it's a lot of outreach, a lot of community meetings, a lot of networking to make sure that people know what we're doing and that we're still in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a good team though, because I've been up to the Cynthiana office a couple of times, and I mean every location has a good team, but you have a good group up there.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. Yeah, a lot of us they work from the heart.
Yeah.
And they do, I think, try to take care of patients like they
Mm.
would their family.
Mhm.
And they certainly get a lot of reward back from going above and beyond for their folks. So
Mhm.
and their work is very sincere, Heidi. So
Mhm.
and it shows. They get a lot of great community support because of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen that throughout the locations that I've visited too, that you work from the heart, because I don't think you can do this job
Hmm.
and not have a heart for it. So, one of the words, since we're talking about this, is that one of the words that was mentioned to me as I've started working here is that you have to be called, if you will, and I guess have a knowing that you want to spend your life in healthcare, especially in the hospice line. And it sounds like you started out as a nurse and I guess maybe knew from the beginning that you wanted to work in healthcare. How did you know this? And when
You
did you
know,
know?
yeah, I really didn't. I started off in college as in computer sciences with a minor in bilingual business of all things.
Oh, wow. Like, that's the
Yeah.
complete opposite.
Yeah, it was, that was kind of the flavor of the moment. And then I knew I liked biology. I knew I liked medicine. And at the time I was working, I had taken a break from school and I was working at Spendthrift Farm in Lexington. And the vet there, Dr. Witherspoon, gave me some coaching and fatherly discussions. And we decided, nursing kind of met that need. And it was also pretty practical too. It was one of the few things that was available, right?
Mhm,
When you live in the sticks, you have to think about the opportunities that exist where you live.
mhm.
So, and it captured all of those things. So that's what I did, and
Yeah.
it has and he was right. And I didn't realize at the time how much how much reward, how much success I felt from serving others. So it fed me. It fed my mojo, right?
Yeah. It's amazing how much people who are around us, know about us and help us. We just have to figure out what most people already know about us, right? So as we look at International Women's Day and month in March, who are some of the women who have or men, but specifically women since it's March, who have mentored and helped you get where you are today?
I think, Heidi, one of the ones that stands out the strongest to me is when I was first orienting as a nurse in the hospital. I had a preceptor, supervisor, however you would want to call it, Marilyn Wash. She was just objective, fair, knowledgeable. She knew her stuff and just, I won't say she was stern, but she was just matter of fact. But always was also that other part that was so important for a new nurse. She was supportive and tried to teach and support. So she's, and you mentioned that, and I think she's somebody that I've felt a strong need to reconnect with now, and hope to do so soon, just to let her know those things.
Mhm.
She is still active here in the community, but I always admired her for her
Mhm.
for what she represented and what she presented. She was
Mhm.
she was top notch.
Yeah. Thinking about my early days, I have a woman who was like that for me as well, and I feel like she helped me become the writer that I am today. I mean, I was taking classes in it and stuff, but I actually worked for her, and I feel like she was the one that actually brought out the skills in me, and so I think I need to do the same thing that you're talking about doing.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's like you said, there's been several along the way. She was my first.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so grateful for her.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you remember your first day or kind of first season at Bluegrass Care Navigators?
I do. It was pretty, let's say, radical, to be out in street clothes and, well, I guess just to be out would be the strongest part of it. And then I remember orientation, back in 92, every Monday morning we met in Lexington. So all the areas at the time came, it was wild eyed just to learn this new thing and this just new way to care for patients. And everybody was so, even the folks in Lexington on that day that I remember starting were just as excited about it, what they could do for patients and how they
Mhm.
could help them and what an impact they made. And that's one of the things that I'm grateful hasn't changed, right?
Right?
Um, is that we can still provide those things. We can make an impact and hopefully we reduce stress for patients and their caregivers and support them along the way with sincere care, quality care, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all the locations when you started would come to Lexington how many
Hmm.
times for to get
At least, yeah, at least once a week, sometimes more. We would be bringing documentation back, but as we didn't know any different then, right? Like I said, being on call every third night and every third weekend, and I remember when I first started, we had voice pagers, if you remember those days, and big bucket phones we called them, So those phones and those pagers didn't go very far. So the nights I was on call, I'd have to stay overnight in our little office in Cynthiana in order to get everywhere. Of course, at that time too, we also, it was just Harrison and Nicholas were just getting started, and so, but we also covered call in Grant and Woodford County at that time. It was happening then too.
Well, a lot has changed since then, and you're already
Mhm.
talking about some of it, but, and Bluegrass Care Navigators has grown in many ways since then. What are some of the changes that stand out to you that you've witnessed?
Well, I think, like I said, that first part where we used to have all these little small satellite offices in each county, where they were basically just places where we could go and fax and use the bathroom, right? But They were great because we had a lot of community exposure there. Our office in Paris was over the post office and people got to know us, right? But then it was in order to be more efficient, developed our regional offices, and that also made us more visible in the region. And then technology brought us along the way, right? No more standing in the phone booth in Carlisle for hours at a time to make calls back and forth, or standing on your car with your bag phone held up in the air trying to get connection. So lots of good tales from the old days. But we've also not just grown in our buildings, but also our services, our service lines, are reaching out to more people, trying to get more people on board. And our medicine, has how we can make people more comfortable has certainly improved and gotten more effective,
Yeah.
more things to try. Mhm.
Yeah, because of research and time and how things have developed. Yeah, it really has. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember some of what you're talking about, not from BCN, but just,
Mhm.
life in general, because I was like, "Oh, payphones, like that has been." I remember them, but, I'm like, there are people who may be working here who don't remember them at all.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been here for 25 years, so you either have to love it or are enduring it. And I get the idea that it's the former. So what do you enjoy the most about working at Bluegrass Care Navigators?
What do I enjoy the most? It's all about perspective, right? But I think I appreciate as much as enjoy just our mission and what that means. And it's certainly work, but I've always found it to give back. I mean, even the challenges, you have to appreciate the challenges and what that means for families when you work hard to overcome them, right?
Mhm,
So I think I think that's the biggest part of it, is just being able to work for such a great mission and vision.
mhm. And to give back and see the difference that you're making. Yeah. As you
Again, like I said, we all get a lot of us get our mojo and our reward from serving others.
Yeah,
So
for sure. As you think about your teammates and, the people that you supervise at the Cynthiana location, what are you especially proud of about them and the work that they do?
again, I think they work from the heart. They're very sincere in their care. We try to take care of folks like family. Sometimes their passion may get in the way because they get frustrated when they can't get things resolved or taken care of, but they try. People come to hospice with a lot of, they're coming because they're in pain or they're scared. So that makes for a lot of challenges, but they too have developed the skill to help people
Mhm.
overcome that. You can't, experience is invaluable, right? And I always tell folks who are interviewing here, you can't help but grow personally and professionally,
Yeah.
uh, just from the people that you're going to meet and the experiences you're going to have. And so I'm just grateful for a tenured staff who I don't think they've been here for the years they have if they didn't get that joy back from what you know.
Right. Absolutely. Amy, I know we're almost out of time. We're a little over time, actually. I have one question I ask everyone who comes on the show. But before I do, is there anything else you'd like to say that we haven't already talked about?
No, I'm pretty much an open book, Heidi. I think there's very little anybody knows about me. I just, I'm always trying to encourage staff. I think I want, and I'll do that here too. I want people to, if you really want to get something out of this job, try to learn everybody's story, no matter how
Mm,
long or how short you have them. Try to learn their stories. You get back what you put into it. I always tell the nurses, case management is more than just making visits. It's about knowing who's under the diagnosis. So,
yeah, absolutely. Because this podcast is about getting to know our team members and a little bit more about their stories too, what is one thing that others may not know about you?
oh, goodness. Well, I'd say don't believe all the stories you've already heard.
Okay.
My reputation may precede me in some situations, but No, I am nature lover, animal lover, love to sit in silence. That might be hard for some people to believe, but it's true. I think it's powerful.
It is powerful. It's hard to sit in silence.
Yes, it is. It's like you ask about the director's job, and that's one of the first things I was told: learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that feeds over into other parts of your life. But it's all been a huge, big learning experience. I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had here, and I think they're available to anybody who's here.
Yeah. Well, Amy, this conversation has been a delight. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to we've met a couple times I think, but we haven't had much of a chance to talk, so it's been really great for the opportunity to get to know you just a little bit more.
Thanks, Heidi. I look forward to talking some more.
All right, sounds good.